Hey Brick Maniacs, welcome back to another Friday sit rep. First things first, we are indeed running a Mad Minute sale, so you can use that promo code MADMIN to save yourself 20% all the way through Sunday. And then starting up on Monday, we will have our International Women's Day sale, but that's only 15%. So if you want to save that 20%, make sure to get those orders in this weekend. As for the rundown of releases for this Friday, we do have the Armored U.S. Infantry standalone minifigure available now. Quite a few of those did sell with the Fury pre-orders, however, so there will be kind of a limited amount available for this initial drop, but don't worry, we will have restocks in the future there. Otherwise, this week's release is the New Zealand LAV, which is a special for Anzac Day. We'll have Dan talking a little bit more about that in just a second here, but I do want to mention, just like quite a few kits that we've had here recently, we do have an optional add-on for up to 4 of the New Zealand Modern Riflemen that do include a new perfect caliber brick arm, so that's a cool upgrade as well. Just like in the past, those will be available standalone once the LAV's release date hits, but until then it will just be an optional add-on to that pre-order, but that's a pretty cool thing too. It's nice to see those special releases for Anzac Day, and then even better that you can get it 20% off all weekend long, obviously while supplies last. But we've got an LAV to take a little closer look at, so I'll turn things over to Dan.
Greetings everyone, this is Dan working in the remote Southern Design Studio. Today's model we're looking at is the prototype for the new LAV, well, I should say it's the NZLAV, which is New Zealand Light Armored Vehicle, or as it's also known as the LAV-3, also used by Canada in a very similar configuration. This is the LAV that is the origin of the current U.S. Army Stryker vehicles. So this one just happens to have a 25 millimeter chain gun on it. It's the turret, basically the turret from the LAV-25 that the Marines use on the hull of an LAV-3, which is very similar to the Stryker, both in size and layout. This one is actually made as a New Zealand version for Anzac Day, because we're doing, last week we did, of course, the Abrams, the A1 Abrams of the Australian Defence Forces, and now we're doing New Zealand. So going to cover both parts of the Anzac being, New Zealand, Australia, their contribution to the defense of the Commonwealth, that would be the British Commonwealth, has been pretty remarkable. Really, in World War II, World War I, they were integral parts of the Allied armed forces in Europe, North Africa, all around the Mediterranean, and of course at home and around the Australian and New Zealand and also the South Pacific area. So. Here we are. This is a completely modern vehicle. Kind of bring us back to current day. It is an 8x8 vehicle, meaning it is 8 wheels, 8-wheel drive. In case of this model, I opted to do, instead of doing suspension like I've been doing on tanks, I opted to do steering. So you have steerable front wheels, just like the real vehicle. I will demonstrate that momentarily. The vehicle itself, here I'll show you the other side. While we're just looking at the vehicle itself, the basic layout is driver up front in this driver's compartment. Unfortunately, you cannot fit a full minifigure in this driver's compartment because of the steering mechanism inside takes up all the space. So you're just going to have to use your imagination. I am going to request that this front piece be printed, as well as the armor around the turret. There will be printed frames around the windows. I just don't have that capability in my location now. And also these yellow panels, should just go over them, because I know everybody's wondering, what the heck are those? So when these vehicles are used in non-military roles, I mean, they roll these things out during natural disasters. So they stick these reflective panels on the corners. They're in the back as well on the vehicle. So, people have been asking me about those. So I'm just going to say right off the bat, that's what those are. They will have some printing on them. There'll be multiple printed pieces on here. I think it's more than a dozen visible printed pieces. And, there'll be some Easter eggs, of course. The kit will come with 2 printed figures. This gun is just a stand in this toilet plunger here. Oops, I broke it already. The toilet plunger piece, or an antenna piece, that this right here I'm referring to, will actually be a 25 millimeter chain gun that's going to be printed. We'll 3D print that. And then this up here is an M2, representing an M240, which I do not have. And that will actually get the perfect caliber treatment. I don't think we've ever perfect calibrated M240. And the versions I've seen that the New Zealanders use have wooden stock, so we'll get that all printed up nicely. Kit itself will come with 2 figures. I have 4 clones in here as my representational guys. You know, everybody knows that clones are from New Zealand, so here we are demonstrating with our local New Zealand clone troopers. You don't believe me? Or pull off one of their helmets. Is that not a New Zealand actor that you may or may not recognize? Yes. Anyway, lots of playability features. As you can see on the outside, there is a winch that the cable disappears inside the hull. That's really how they have it on the real vehicle. One of the biggest critiques of wheeled vehicles. There's a huge debate, I should say, between proponents of wheeled vehicles and proponents of tracked vehicles. And one of the biggest arguments about wheeled vehicles is their high ground pressure, meaning that all of the weight of these vehicles is supported under all these wheels. And in a soft ground situation, muddy, sandy, like that, these things can get stuck more easily than a tracked vehicle because they have higher ground pressure, meaning more PSI in fewer points on the ground. So to counter that, they equip all these vehicles with a winch, so this thing can pull itself out of the ditch or out of the mud or out of the sand if it needs to. That's what this is here, and it actually works. I actually have it's the drum that for that winch is inside the hull, and I'll show you in a minute how you can manipulate that. The vehicle itself, aside from the turret, the driver compartment, which you could actually take that windshield piece off and close the turret if you close this hatch if you want. That's not a hard thing to do. There are 4 other additional hatches on the roof, two in the back area here where I have the figures stationed, which that's not how it is. The infantry guys can ride in the back or sit up on the back deck here. These hatches do close. Got a nice little arrangement here. Just those close up nicely, and you also have two hatches for the commander and the gunner up on the top of the turret here. Let's demonstrate these real quick. So you close those up nice, and that's all buttoned up. So these guys you're gonna have to make believe they're down there inside there, because there's no other way to show it. In the back here, this is an infantry fighting vehicle. It's a carrier, so it has room in the back for infantry guys, and it does have a ramp in the back. You know, so I can get it down. It's really hard to do this with one hand without like the vehicle wanting to roll away on you. There we go. Got the ramp down. So just like the M113, there's the door in the door. So, they don't have to necessarily put the ramp down to escape out of this thing, but there is a door in the door. I love that feature. And of course, back here is where your infantry guys will ride. They can get out the top there. Oops. Very hard to look through the camera and then manipulate it at the same time. So let me just bear with me. I'm holding the camera with one hand. I'm going to try to get this roof off so I can show you what the internal layout is. It's not hard. The roof is designed to come off as one piece, and you can see the internal layout here. And I just wanted to show you what the inside will look like. This isn't exact because there's different colors that'll be on the inside. This is just what I had on hand. As you can see, there's a drum right there for the winch, and this other thing right here manipulates the steering. So if you can see that I'm turning the axle here, and it does make the wheels go to the left or to the right, and you could drive this. I have this handy tool, so you could do this with a roof on it. It's an extension. We're going to call this the action tool. I don't know what the official term will be. Maybe that'll be an official term. Use your action tool to make it turn left or right as you're driving it around. So that's just a fun thing. But you can also use this tool, handy dandy little tool, to manipulate the winch. So when the roof is on, you got to pretend that the roof is on here. We're going to loosen and tighten it here. Let me just see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, you try to hold the phone and do all this fun stuff. Well, at least now that I broke the hook off, I can thread this through the right way, which I had not before. You can see there's a little bit of a plate there with a handle on the end. That thread is actually the wire is actually supposed to go through there and then out the front of the vehicle. When the roof is on, it'll be taut up against the side here, roof on here. It should be no problem. It shouldn't get caught or pinched or anything like that, because it'll ride off to the side. But I cannot demonstrate that. There, it'll be like that. So Anyway, you also get 4 fuel cans, auxiliary fuel cans. They all have printing on them, which I do not have at this time. And then, like I said, there will be some other things thrown in that'll be good. The New Zealand folks will recognize them, and good Easter egg hunting. Of course, this is all coming off for Anzac Day. Let me put this roof back on. Give you an idea how simple and easy that is. Just snaps right back on, and look, you don't even crush the wheels as you're doing it. Sometime we'll do this when maybe somebody else is here, when Dylan or camera guy can hold the camera, and I'll demonstrate the winch capability on the actual model. I just wanted to show you that it is a real thing. The steering works in a similar way. Let's put this down. Get this rigged up to go. And I have it engaged in the steering mechanism here. So turn to the left, turn to the right. You know, we can make it actually do this in real time. It steers, yay! Turn to the left, same thing. Help if I actually let it roll around the way it's supposed to. Turn to the right, yep. So that's how you make that work. It's kind of fun to play with. If anybody has my BTR, you'll know that I like to put steering mechanisms, especially in these 8-wheel vehicles. It's fun. That is the NZLAV, or New Zealand Defence Force Light Armored Vehicle. I'm having a lot of fun with this. It is actually quite nice. I have these other vehicles here to give you an idea of the scale. This thing is actually quite big. It's almost the size of a tank. They do have to give the drivers special training to make sure they don't tip these things over, because they're pretty top heavy. After all, it's a normal sized vehicle. They stuck a turret way up on top. So you've got the crew compartment down below, turret on top. Makes for a very top heavy vehicle in comparison to a tank, which has a very low profile. But these can go on the highway much faster, more efficiently, and get the troops there, whereas a tank has no room to carry troops. All the guys would have to ride on the outside and be exposed. The light armored vehicle has built-in armor, proof against rifle caliber ammunition. There are applique armor panels that they can put on this thing that will give it protection against up to like a 50 caliber size round, 13 millimeter ammunition. There you have the NZLAV, or LAV3 as it would be known in Canadian service. And for those who are wondering, yes, this is the same vehicle that the Canadian Army uses. They call it the Kodiak. Some of the stowage on the outside is a little bit different on the Canadian version, but very, very minor changes. You could rearrange all that gear on the outside if you wanted to make a Canadian version. The only difference is you're gonna have to put in different crewmen. Of course, we don't have a modern Canadian soldier right now, but we will have them shortly. And it's something that we'd expect to do sometime this year.
All right, that'll just about do it for me here on a Friday. Like I said, our International Women's Day sale will be starting up on Monday, but you can still use that promo code MADMIN to save yourself 20% all weekend long. And then starting Monday, it'll be back to 15%, and we'll release the code, obviously, when that hits. I've been seeing quite a few comments on social media, whatnot, asking when various kits are going to ship. So I just wanted to address that real quick. Most of it has to do with the finalization of instructions. Obviously, you guys have seen the prototype models and the print departments doing their thing. And so those models are on time from that sense, but we're still working out some, want to make sure that those instructions are as good as they can possibly be. Right now, Dan is our only designer, and so he's been hard at work trying to make new models and catch up on those instructions, etc. And then obviously the rest of the team is working to pick up slack where they can. So we thank you very much for your patience, but that's just kind of a little bit of an update on some of those kits that are getting ready to ship. Obviously, they all will ship. Those orders will be filled. Customer service is very good about shipping stuff out pretty much as soon as it gets into their hands. We're just kind of wrapping up the design portion of those kits as well. So again, thank you for your patience. Keep standing by, and trust me, it'll be worth it when it shows up at your door. And then just one final note, remember, we've got a ton of events coming up this summer, starting in April out in California, World War Brick in June, then we're heading over to Bovington for Tank Fest. We'll be in Chicago for Brick World Weekend, and then we'll be out at Brick Fair, Virginia as well, and then I think even Tank Farm as well, which is also in Nokesville, Virginia, I want to say. So if you want to come check us out at any of those locations, we will have Brick Maniacs on hand land pretty much all summer long. So that'll be a ton of fun. Very much so looking forward to getting out and saying hi to some members of the community. Other than that, that'll do it for me here on a Friday. As always, thank you very much for watching.
If I could just see what I was doing, maybe I could put the camera over here and look inside. But alas, I don't know if there's enough light. All right, I'm going to give up on this, and hopefully Dylan have the good sense to edit this out of the video. Anyway.